finally, the end of season wipe is here for Dark and Darker. And if you're a fighter class player, a lot has changed. A lot more than what the patch notes suggest. And as you may be noticing, there is a pile of gear. So much gear that it's just hard to even discuss. There's so many new things. And after finding a server that really wanted us, our little fashion journey began with the cleric spawning right behind us. And this isn't the only time this happened. I'll show you a Goblin Caves run shortly where there was way too many people in it. But I want to also talk a little bit about the gear during this and get to some stats later on. There's some absolute silly stuff that they're allowing fighter class to wear. I really don't recommend wearing these. You look like an absolute dork. And there are better options, trust me. We found better options. You don't need to sacrifice your dignity and wear that absolute absurd looking helmet. Just take a good look at this thing. There's even another one. It's more open. But before we could get into any of these, we got attacked by a barbarian, which didn't go so well playing on the Soul server. And of course, in our first raid, we end up dying, but it is what it is. Continuing on, we decided to go into normals and just quickly look. If you blinked, you missed it. And of course, I was ready for this after my earlier experience, but this poor fighter stood no chance. And I knew a brawl was coming, and I could not let this man live. And Sebastian has to bow to the Thunderdome PvP Central, which is Goblin Caves. Goblin Caves is already very, very intense in terms of PvP. You're going to run into players and have to fight them. There's not a lot of portals. But when a boatload of players spawn on top of each other, it becomes chaos. Absolute chaos. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the first collaterals I've had in a long time with an arming sword. And this wasn't over. There were a boatload of players, as I said, everywhere. Wizards, rogues, mobs running endlessly. It became a little bit ridiculous. And I only tried normals once, so I'm not sure if this continued on. But I did have, like I showed you guys, 2 situations where players spawned on top of me. This one, the game you're watching now, and that earlier HR one. So be careful of this. It makes it a little bit scary to try to queue into HR knowing that it just could be an absolute brawl. It's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. Just terrifying if you're going in there with next to no gear against players that are already finding a few blues or greens. So, not sure if this will get fixed, but maybe this is what they intend to do for Arena. Just send them all in there and may the best man win. And of course, the fighter chose the wizard side for whatever reason. He's quite adamant that we're not going to be able to kill this man, but for whatever reason, wizard could not hear him. It appeared he was confused and thought maybe that was me or something, because he kind of just rushed at him. Anyway, surely enough, we make it out of there. We do not make it out of this raid. We end up dying not too long after this, but I just wanted to show you guys quickly in amongst my little fashion video but some of the chaos that can happen. I did roll some base kit HR, just hoping to find some gear or learn a little bit more about the changes. I just wanted to quickly show you this little ninja escape before we start talking stats and some of the changes. But when we start digging into just a few of these pieces that I found, agility, dexterity, strength, and vigor being doubled up as base stats on certain gear. I've heard horror stories that +2 all is also back, and getting that 10% action speed, which I love for using longbow, is easier than ever. There's so much gear giving dexterity and even agility. It's wild. There are light gauntlets that give you agility and dex, which counts as plate. There are heavy gauntlets, gives you vigor and strength, I believe. The combinations are endless, and one of my favorite chest pieces I've found so far. I'm not sure how many are out there, but look at these bad boys. +3 dexterity, +2 agility. Chest piece with decent armor rating on it. Not a horrible movement speed penalty. Once you run swift, it wouldn't be that treacherous to use. Wild. Like, our action speed with sword mastery just skyrockets the second you start throwing some of this gear on. So let's look at a few of the pieces I found. Obviously, the Crusader helm has decent stats as well. Dexterity and agility also rolls in it. It looks fabulous. We have our Old Faithfuls, but then there's some weird ones that just have really high armor rating. And once again, the Spanger Helm, +3 dexterity, +2 agility, on a plate helmet that's giving you a whole bunch of options. There's also this beautiful looking top helm, which is like a Knights of the Holy Grail or something. I don't even know what you call these things, but they are gorgeous looking. That one just seems to be similar to the Hound Skull, which provides just a ton of armor rating. Open Sallet. You may be wondering what the point of that is, but if you notice, some of those are rolling on Bard and also available on Ranger. The Spanger Helm is available in the Ranger class, and this Heavy Gamison's available in the Ranger class, which is giving you strength and vigor. Dark Cuirass now gives you willpower and resourcefulness and knowledge. There's just, like I said, guys, the Champion Armor giving strength and vigor for Cleric and Warlock. There's so many options. I really wish I had time to go through all of them and do like a full breakdown and all this stuff, but I am just sharing this video because I'm super impressed with how diverse some of this is going to be. I hope it's not like a little too diverse. I did just want to quickly show you the new cloak skin. It's okay. And I will share with you some of the boots. Like, the first couple of games I played were all about finding helmets, it seemed. And then later I got into like a whole section of boots that have really, really good stat rolls as well. Like agility dex boots, max health boots. There's like variations of like tied boots and untied boots. It's wild, okay? It's a little bit crazy. I will say that I think the best cape here is the dark blue one, Mercurial Dexterity. I don't even know if I can properly say that. Mercurial cape. And you can, thanks to Iron Mace, you can roll up in a cozy little sleeping bag. Lovely. Just what I wanted. Like I said, I did want to quickly just show you a few pair of boots I found, like Dexterity, Agility boots. And then in the same raid, I found Willpower boots, which is kind of nice if you're a Warlock or some other classes. But those Dexterity, Agility boots have me very intrigued. And I also found these, I don't even know what they are. They're a fancy little boot. These buckled boots with max health roll. These ones seem a little weaker, but I did get some decent rolls on them with dexterity and armor rating. Also, you will notice the stat rolls are all like completely different now. People are rolling luck, people are rolling better armor rating, people are rolling +2 all on certain clothing, and I think it's pretty wild how many options you're going to have to build fighter differently now. Dexterity is going to be a lot easier to come by with some of the gear I'm finding. It's like dexterity is rolling on everything. Not to mention the agility on top of it, which gives you a very small action speed bonus. And like I said before, I always wanted at least 10% action speed when using longbow. If you're going to do like a range melee hybrid, longbow's very good at pressuring opponents. In this situation, I'm using crossbow. But you'll also quickly notice here, if you're curious, you can still switch to your throwing axes very quickly. And this guy, even though he's wearing the champion armor with strength and vigor, we can pin him down quite easily. Doesn't have that sprint option. He is running, looks like spells and blow corruption. And this poor Warlock can't really do much in this situation. He can't get close to us. We have sprint. We have throwables, which are still if they're in their Hot Wheel or in your utility slots, you can still access them quickly. He actually went on down there wherever he went and died. Glad I didn't follow him. But we make it out of this one alive. And I thank you guys all so much for supporting the channel, hanging out in the live streams. I will have to dig into this stuff a lot further. It is way too early to make any assumptions about certain things being broken because I imagine there's a lot of gear across all the classes. It's just amazing and exciting for me because it opens up so many pathways that we didn't have before. There's a lot of different stats we can pile quickly now with our gear. And it doesn't feel like you're just picking the same thing every time. I think Flying Cuirass even has some decent stat rolls on it as well. So if you're going to go full plate fighter, you may be able to make it a little bit more bearable with the gauntlets and whatnot now having some sort of benefit. Where before it was simply to build armor rating. You're also going to be getting stats with a lot of those heavily armored options. Like the dexterity I'm swinging at right here is with very, very cheap, I guess you could say, gear, but it's all rolling dexterity. And it's like, it's really crazy to me. So do let me know what your thoughts are. I'm curious what you guys think or what you've found. There's probably stuff I haven't found. I didn't get a bunch of games in. Like I said, there's a bunch of server issues, some login issues at the start. Also, I hope everyone's able to access the game and just explore and chew through some of this information, which is the new gear, like I got to. And I'll see you guys all in the next video, or live on Twitch/YouTube.